Almost there. Chapter 12, Tiana. Trepidation thundered throughout Tiana's bloodstream as she stared into Louis's worried eyes. She was almost afraid to ask, but running away from a problem was never the way to solve it. Of course, it would help to know exactly what the problem was. "What's the matter?" Tiana asked Louis. He backed out of the way and motioned to the man standing behind him. The bleeding man standing behind him. Tiana scrambled up from the floor. She scurried out of the storeroom and into the kitchen, where the other 4 members of the Crawfish Crooners stood. Charlie, their other trumpet player, held a dish towel up to his lips. Tiana took notice of the large splotches of bright red blood seeping into the towel and immediately knew they had more than just a problem on their hands. This was an emergency. And a disaster. "What happened?" she asked, rushing to Charlie's side. "Charlie split his lip on the horn," Louis said. "We were playing a rendition of Tin Roof Blues and his bottom lip just split open like a banana peel." "Oh!" Charlotte said, covering her mouth. She looked on the verge of losing the pasta jambalaya she'd eaten for dinner. "I'll be in the dining room if you need me, Tia," she mumbled from behind her hand. Louis hooked a thumb toward Charlotte's retreating form. "What's wrong with her?" "Lottie's just a little scared of blood. She'll be okay," Tiana said. "Let's focus on Charlie." She got a comforting hand on the trumpet player's shoulders. Do you think you need a doctor?" He nodded. "Gerald here is going to take him," Louis said. "It's a bad split. He'll need a doc to sew that lip up." She did her best to hide it, but Tiana was on the verge of losing her own dinner. She looked on in horror as the crimson stain embedding the towel began to spread. The color seemed to drain from Charlie's face, turning his skin ashen. "Now," Tiana said, ushering Charlie and Gerald, the band's trombone player, out of the kitchen through the back door that led to the alley. "Get in there safely." "We're going to get set up for the final set," Harold, their drummer, said. "Don't know how good we'll sound from down a trombone and a trumpet," Walter, the bass player, added as he followed Harold out of the kitchen. Tiana slapped her palm to her forehead. "How did that even happen, Louis?" Louis hunched his broad shoulders. "I don't know. Charlie was just blowing his horn as usual, and next thing you know..." He flapped his hands open, providing a visual Tiana really could have done without. "Strangest thing I've seen." He leaned in close and whispered. "And I've seen some pretty strange things in my day, though I don't have to tell you that." "Shh," Tiana said, looking over her shoulder and making sure no one overheard. She inched close and lowered her voice. "Tell me, Louis, have you sensed that more strange things are happening lately?" His scabrous forehead creased even more with his frown. "What do you mean?" She opened her mouth, about to tell him about the thought she was being followed by murky shadows, but it seemed so ridiculous she decided against it. Tiana still wasn't convinced these shadows were real. More than likely, her mind was playing tricks on her due to the stress of pulling off a successful Mardi Gras season. Instead, she waved off his question. "Forget I said anything. I'm just a bit out of sorts these days. Still nervous about this weekend." "Well, your first real test will be tomorrow night when Rudy Davis and the All-Stars pack this place," Louis said. "Charlie couldn't have picked a better time to split his lip." "Louis!" Tiana smacked him on the arm. "What?" "That's an awful thing to say." She plopped her hands on her hips. "You do bring up a good point, though. This is going to sound horrible, but do you think the rest of the band will be able to play tonight?" Tiana asked. "We still have the second dinner service to get through." "I don't know," Louis shook his head. "I handle the melody, but I count on Charlie's trumpet to harmonize. Maybe if... I can play trumpet." Tiana whipped around. Naveen stood several feet behind them, holding up a shiny brass horn. "Sorry, I just wanted to make sure everything was okay back here. There seemed to be a lot of frantic running," he explained. He gestured to the trumpet in his hand. "The ukulele is still my first love, but I taught myself how to play the trumpet this past year. I never leave home without it." "All right, man," Louis said. Panic seized Tiana's chest. "No!" Lily and Naveen both stared at her. "Why not? It's the perfect solution," Louis stated. "We'll only need Naveen here for this final set. I can play Gerald's trombone, and then you've got Rudy Davis and the All-Stars tomorrow." "I know. She said, unable to come up with a rationale that would make her sound like a terrible person, or worse, a love-struck fool. She couldn't admit that having to watch Naveen up on that bandstand would rend her soul in two. And that's exactly how she felt. It was hard enough when he was only a guest here at the restaurant, but to have him actually working here? But what choice did she have? "Very well," Tiana said. She looked over at Naveen and suppressed the whimper that nearly escaped. Bracing herself, she stuck her hand out. "Welcome to the band."